All right, we're finally back in our studio from our trip to New York. So in the last episode, we showed you all the locations we didn't pick for our retail store in the city. And at the end, we showed you that we ended up on Crosby Street. But I didn't tell you how much our rent was. $80,000 a month, $40,000 a month, $25,000. So what's the damage, you ask? It's a cool $15,000 a month. Now, when you rent a store in the city, the landlord gives you some free rent so you could do construction. And in our case, the landlord gave us 6 months. For us, that was 18 months ago. So what's the holdup, you ask? Designing a store for a brand for the first time is really not an easy thing. Today, we're going to go through that process, and I'm going to explain how we did it. For me, there are 3 objectives for making a store. And the third is really the most important for me, and that's to establish a recognizable design DNA for the brand. When you take a store and remove all the products, you should still know what store it is. So for example, let's look at this picture. We've removed all the products from this picture, and I'm sure you'll still know that it's an Apple store. Now let's look at the second picture. While it's beautiful, you would never know it's a high fashion brand, or you would never know which high fashion brand it is. So now let's move on to our design objectives. So the first was that we wanted to replicate the brand discovery process of our website. And second, to replicate the dual discovery process of our brand by scent and by scent space, just like our exploration kit. So let's get into what all this mess on this table is about. Let's begin with why there's a tractor on my table. So I own a John Deere tractor, and I've had this fascination. I've always wanted to paint my tractor totally black because I have this thing about commodity having to do with agriculture. I like this idea that when you paint something a monotone color, it takes on a different form. And I actually wanted to take this thing and put it in the store. We explored that quite a bit, but we kind of moved on. So the first thing I did actually when I got over my tractor phase was contact our team in London who helped us design the repackaging of our brand. We went through like page after page of analysis of words and the fragrances and what we want. And actually, they did play around with my tractor idea. And we like this idea of commoditizing things, right? So one of the main concepts was about taking a regular shipping box, like a cardboard box that you can see here, and what happens to it once you paint it black and put our logo on it. It still has its shape of where it came from originally, but it takes on a different meaning. We really, we kind of went further in this direction, and we created a wall, or they created a wall, that would house all of our products in a very democratic way. And so we call that the box wall. But it was just one wall. It wasn't a store concept. We kept going and tried this in different ways. What would my tractor look like? So we actually we're serious about this tractor thing. The question is, how do you talk about scent space in a store like this? Because that was just one wall. On and on it went. And really we hit a brick wall. We stopped and we kept going. And we did another workshop, on and on and on. We did 100 designs. Have a look. So we had like all the different layouts. How do you circulate? What the different areas are? Where do we want the products to be? Where do we want scent space to be? Where do we want the feature wall to be? This says thank you, but we didn't really finish anything. There was nothing to thank. And more mood boards. We went back to the tractor. Can you see this? So what you're seeing right now is there's no clear concept. That didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work. Okay, so then we took another break. We took a break and I said, okay, I do have an architecture background. Let me get into it. So then I did my own stuff, my own sketches. So I had this real fascination about bringing the website into like 3 dimensions. I took our website, remember? Amanda, she designed this, and I wrapped it. And I said, what would it be like if you experienced as you're walking, the homepage and whatever? Because our website does such a great job of talking about our brand that I went through this phase. And this is the website phase. And on it went. And then I stopped. And I thought it was time to bring in the big guns. For those of you who don't know, my wife is an architect. She's an award-winning architect, but she refused to work on this project. Why? Because first of all, she's never done retail and, she likes doing buildings, and really she just didn't feel like she was the right person for this job, and she refused to do it until we forced her into it. And that was another 6-month project. Months go by and she finally kind of, she has something. I can tell. I know her by now, right? So she comes back with this thing. The fascination for her was how to do what we want. And I have to say, she did an amazing job. So she came up with really a program. One part of the store was about experiencing our fragrances by scent. Another part of the store was about experiencing our fragrances by scent space. And things started to shape up. So at that point, we went back to our partners at Eiko and Shed. So they took what she did and kind of on a two-dimensional level, keep going with designing and designing and designing and designing and designing and designing. So what did we come up with? You're just going to have to tune in next time. That's it.
I really loved that.
Yeah. I thought that was